name is Bond. James Bond.
He saved the world with nothing but a raised eyebrow, a wry smile, an impeccable charm. But even secret agents have no defense against time. On May 23, 2017, the world bid farewell to Sir Roger Moore, forever immortalized as the suavest James Bond, but so much more than the tuxedo he wore. He did not die on screen in a hail of gunfire or poison martini. He passed quietly in a foreign land, surrounded by love and shadowed by illness. How does a man so iconic, so seemingly untouchable, slip away from the world he dazzled for nearly a century? If you believe that legacies deserve to be remembered, not just the fame, but the fragile human stories behind them, subscribe to this channel. There are many lives worth honoring. Roger George Moore was born on October 14, 1927, in Stockwell, South London, the only child of a policeman father and a mother of Anglo-Indian descent. He grew up during the hardship of the Great Depression and the shadows of the Second World War. Young Roger first dreamed of being an artist, not an actor. His early years were shaped more by sketch pads than scripts, and the prospect of a quiet life was never far off. But war and fate have their own ideas. After military service as a second lieutenant in Germany, he found himself drifting toward the stage, not by ambition, but by suggestion. A whisper from a friend led him to the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, where destiny began to script its own story. Moore did not burst onto the scene. He worked, waited, and wore the armor of patience. The man who would become James Bond spent his early 20s as an unknown, building a quiet resilience behind a handsome face. Roger Moore's rise to global fame was not meteoric. It was sculpted brick by brick. His breakthrough came in the early 1960s with The Saint, where he played Simon Templar, the charming anti-hero who seemed to blur the line between rogue and gentleman. The show ran for 7 seasons and made Moore a household name across Europe. But Hollywood was slow to embrace him. Even after The Persuaders, with Tony Curtis, he remained a European icon more than a global one. Then came Bond. In 1973, Moore stepped into the tuxedo for Live and Let Die, replacing Sean Connery and facing the impossible weight of comparison. He did not try to imitate. Instead, he redefined. His Bond was lighter, more self-aware, more charming. Over 12 years and 7 films, Moore became the longest-serving 007, leaving his own mark on cinematic history. But behind the screen, life was not always smooth. He survived multiple divorces, serious illnesses, and a persistent skepticism from critics who never gave him full credit. And yet he endured. He laughed at his image, poked fun at himself, and devoted his later years to causes larger than cinema. As the years grew quieter, Roger Moore withdrew from film, but never from the world. He became a tireless advocate for UNICEF, traveling to war-torn countries and forgotten corners of the globe, not for cameras, but for children. He was knighted in 2003 for his charity work, not his acting. That was the measure of his true legacy. In his final years, Moore battled cancer silently, lung and liver. The same man who had once jumped from trains and seduced spies now fought an invisible war within his own body. But he never lost his wit or his grace. In the spring of 2017, he was with his wife, Christina, and his children by his side in Crans-Montana, Switzerland. It was quiet, peaceful, dignified. He passed on May 23rd at the age of 89. The world learned through a simple, heartfelt statement. With the heaviest of hearts, we must share the awful news that our father, Sir Roger Moore, has passed away today. Roger Moore was more than James Bond. He was a gentleman of cinema, a man who understood that charm could be more disarming than violence. While others played heroes with grit, he played them with grace. His performances brought laughter to the action and elegance to the absurd. He was remembered not only by fans and peers, but by world leaders and humanitarian organizations. The United Nations paid tribute. UNICEF mourned a friend. Children in distant countries remembered a kind man who once knelt to their eye level and listened. In the years after his death, documentaries were made. Tributes poured in. His films were rewatched with new appreciation, not for their explosions, but for the glint in his eye, the unspoken humor, and the warmth that made danger look almost gentlemanly. Roger Moore once said, "My acting range? Left eyebrow raised, right eyebrow raised." But we knew better. His range was human. He taught us that heroes can be gentle, that wit can be a weapon, and that a legacy is not what you do on screen, but what you do when no one's watching. He walked through life in perfectly tailored suits, but what he left behind was far more timeless: compassion, charm, and the reminder that elegance is not a costume, but a character. If this story moved you, subscribe to this channel, because every light we remember helps keep the darkness at bay, and every life honored becomes immortal.